Well, now to a Fox 5 exclusive, new information following the 2015 murder of rapper Chinx.
The shooter in the murder just pled guilty to first-degree manslaughter.
All right, and ll3r Lisa Evers has the interview with Chinx's widow reacting to this news. Lisa.
Well, Stephen, Natasha, it is a major milestone some thought would never be reached.
Man, nobody knew.
Really?
Yeah, nobody.
So no one ever got convicted or anything?
I mean, somebody got convicted, but,
okay.
but until then, nobody knew. It was a situation that he had in the past that had nothing to do with, like, by the time. It's like things like that in life. Just because you change your life and you decide to do positive things and switch your whole life around.
After years of seeking justice, the rap community can finally close a painful chapter as the killer of rapper Chinx has pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter. The tragic loss of Chinx in a brutal drive-by shooting in 2015 sent shockwaves through the industry and left fans mourning a promising talent taken too soon. Now, with the sentencing revealed, there's a sense of closure and a reminder of the harsh realities faced by those who rise from the streets to stardom. Chinx Drugs had all the talent and momentum to take over the rap industry and outshine his buddy French Montana, but in 2015, everything changed when he was tragically killed in a brutal drive-by. Here's the wild and heartbreaking story of Chinx Drugs. Chinx grew up in Far Rockaway, a tough neighborhood in Queens. Despite its remote location by the ocean, the streets were just as active. He started rapping for fun in junior high, but getting real money meant diving into the trenches. His mom worked constantly to support the family, and his dad wasn't around much and passed away when Chinx was a teenager. Instead of following his mom's example and getting a regular job, Chinx dropped out of high school to focus on rapping and hustling full-time. Chinx was still moving weight, but always planned to leave that life behind for a rap career. Instead of splurging on clothes, cars, and jewelry, he invested in studio time. He had been rapping with his friend Stack Bundles since high school, and in the early 2000s, they teamed up with Bino and Cow2Gs to form the rap crew Riot Squad. They started gaining traction locally, but then trouble caught up to Chinx. Just as Riot Squad was building momentum, Chinx got booked for attempted murder for a crime from '99, where he and his crew snatched a dude's chain and shot him. It's unclear how the cops connected him to the crime 6 years later, but Chinx ended up getting almost 5 years in prison just as Riot Squad was about to blow up. His incarceration was a massive setback for the crew, but Stack Bundles kept Chinx's name alive in the industry. While Chinx was locked up, Stack teamed up with Jim Jones and Max B to form the collective Bird Gang. Fans were eagerly waiting for Chinx and Stack to reunite and make music together. Unfortunately, in 2007, tragedy struck when Stack was killed. He had been growing his name in the industry but stayed in Far Rockaway with a big entourage. Despite having a new Porsche and more success, staying in the hood made him a target, and he paid the ultimate price. One of Stack's neighbors once asked why he was hanging out with a bunch of guys who weren't really his friends. Stack replied, "You gotta keep your enemies close." Sadly, that didn't work out. And in 2007, someone shot him in the neck and head in the building lobby. Stack was a talented guy who even studied music and art in college for a bit, but he stayed in his old neighborhood too long, and it caught up with him. In 2013, Chinx almost quit rapping after Stack died, but once he got out of jail, Chinx saw how much Stack had impacted the city and his fans. Chinx said, "People love him out here, and I didn't want to let that die. So, this is for him and his family. That's why I keep it moving." Chinx had lost one of his closest friends and couldn't do anything about it while behind bars. But when he got out in 2008, all the work Stack had put in helped Chinx blow up more than ever. Chinx was at a club when one of Max B's guys told him Max wanted to meet. Max B had fallen out with Jim Jones and left Bird Gang, so linking up with him could have been big for Chinx. But before they could work together, Max B got caught in a crazy murder case and ended up with a 75-year prison sentence. Cops said Max had his girlfriend and stepbrother rob 2 guys at a New Jersey Holiday Inn. They tied up Alan Plowden with duct tape and waited for his friend David Taylor. When Taylor walked in, they shot him point blank, but he didn't even have any money on him, so they just ran off. Plowden managed to get loose and reported the murders. When the cops showed up, they found him trying to take $30K from the room. In 2009, Max B got hit with the 75-year sentence, but Chinx had an even better connection in the industry. Max B introduced Chinx to French Montana, and they clicked right away. They started a crew called Coke Boys, and in April 2009, Chinx dropped his debut mixtape after rapping for over a decade. He kept grinding and released 2 more tapes the next year, plus a collab project with Coke Boys. Chinx wasn't in the industry long, but he was one of the hardest workers, dropping 15 projects in 6 years, more than most artists do in their entire careers. He hit the mainstream in 2012 with I'm a Coke Boy. The original song was already popular, but the remix featuring Rick Ross, Diddy, and French Montana took it to another level. The original music video even featured a young Cardi B, who was only 19 at the time. Known for rapping about his tough upbringing, Chinx wanted to create music anyone could relate to. He told journals, "I'm definitely trying to leave my mark with the type of music that made you feel good at one point or another." Chinx was rising fast, working with big names like Young Thug. He was building on the momentum Stack had given him, and everyone knew it was only a matter of time before Chinx's name was huge. But just before his debut album dropped, he was tragically killed in Queens. On May 17, 2015, Chinx performed at Club Red Wolf in Brooklyn. The show went great, and there wasn't any tension, but outside, 2 guys with an old grudge were waiting. Chinx and his friend ll3r left the club and headed to a hookah lounge, but it was closed. They started driving towards the subway to drop off ll3r. While sitting at a red light near 84th Drive, a black Mercedes pulled up and shots started flying. Chinx was hit with at least 8 bullets. He tried to escape but was losing too much blood. He pulled into a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, but by the time help arrived, Chinx was tragically already dead.
Latest on the investigation into the murder of rapper Lionel Pickens, known as Chinx.
Okay, police checking surveillance cameras in the area for clues, but as Lisa Evers tells us, now they have a few solid leads. She's near the shooting scene in Queens. Lisa.
Even though Chinx rapped about the streets, everyone knew he left all the drama behind when he got out of prison. Unlike many rappers who keep going back to the trenches even after their careers take off, Chinx jumped into the studio and never looked back. That's why his death was so shocking. At first, the cops had no idea who was behind it, but they knew it wasn't a random shooting. A police source told Newsday, "This was not a road rage episode. This was an assassination." It took years before any new info came out, and when it did, fans realized just how crazy the situation was. In 2017, 2 guys named Quincy Homer and Jamar Hill were booked for killing Chinx. According to Detective Richard Rudolph, they hunted Chinx down over a fight they had 6 years before his death. After Chinx got out of prison in 2008, he ended up going to Rikers for a parole violation in 2009. While he was there, he allegedly fought with Quincy, and 6 years later, Quincy killed him over it. Quincy was also trying to become a rapper, and in April 2015, he showed up to one of Chinx's shows and got embarrassed in front of French Montana and Uncle Murda. It's not clear what exactly happened, but Rudolph said it made Quincy even angrier, and that's why he killed Chinx a month later. The industry had a lot of love for Chinx and respected how hard he worked. After the news broke that he was killed, Jay-Z gave him a shout out on stage, and tons of other artists mourned him on social media. Hill and Quincy are now facing 25 to life.
Rest in peace, Chinx. And we still killing each other. We need to understand that we are kings and queens.
There was an important update when it comes to the suspects who took away Chinx's life. There might finally be some closure in the 2015 murder of beloved rapper Chinx. As one of the suspects, Quincy Homer has pleaded guilty. Quincy could face up to 23 years in prison. Sources suggest Quincy, also known as Q or Quality, was envious of Chinx. In an emotional statement, Chinx's widow, Janelle Caceres, shared her experience in court during an exclusive interview with Lisa Evers. "It was pretty emotional. I literally cried the whole time sitting there, actually staring at him. Because there are so many different thoughts and words running through your head, and you know you have to keep your composure," Caceres said. Caceres, a mother of 3, has worked with NYPD detectives for years to bring the suspects to justice. She thanked the NYPD, the Queens District Attorney, and Chinx's friends and fans for keeping his memory alive. A lot of sadness, a lot of hurt, a lot of anger. The DA sat with me most of the time until it was time for him to present, but I was there by myself, so it was a lot, she added. Outside his flashy persona, Chinx was a devoted family man, raising 2 daughters and a son with Janelle. At the time of his death, the couple was looking to buy a house for their growing family. The sadness from the heinous act still lingers today. Reflecting on the legal proceedings, Caceres said, "We definitely believe it should have been at least a murder 2 charge, but unfortunately with the odds against us and the laws of the state of New York, it made it very hard to pursue that." In 2017, the Queens District Attorney identified Quincy and Jamar Hill as suspects in the case. Queens DA Melinda Katz expressed hope that the sentence would comfort the Pickens family. "My office never gives up in our pursuit of justice. Lionel Pickens, an accomplished recording artist, was senselessly gunned down by Quincy Homer. We hope that this sentence will provide the Pickens family with some measure of comfort as they continue to mourn his loss." Caceres also expressed relief at the resolution of the case. "It's closure for us, so now I know there are no more court appearances after this. Someone is being held accountable for what happened, so it's a start," she said. She noted the importance of avoiding a prolonged trial. "It would have been a tough situation to put me and my children through, as well as certain family members and friends, because we would have had to be part of the case and it would have dragged on for years." As we reflect on the life and untimely death of Lionel Chinx Pickens, we are reminded of the complexities and challenges faced by those who rise from the streets to achieve fame. Despite his efforts to leave the past behind and focus on his burgeoning music career, the shadows of his past caught up with him in a tragic and senseless act of violence. Chinx's story is one of incredible talent and relentless hustle, a testament to his dedication to both his music and his family. While the legal proceedings have brought some measure of closure to his loved ones, the loss of Chinx leaves an irreplaceable void in the hearts of those who knew him and the fans who admired his work. His legacy lives on through his music, the impact he had on the industry, and the memory of his determination to succeed against all odds. In honoring Chinx's life, we not only remember a gifted artist, but also reflect on the enduring struggle for justice and the hope for a brighter future for those who continue to rise from similar circumstances.